If you like walks, if you like rocks, if you like outdoor adventure and beautiful scenery, you're in the right place. Come join me. Well, this wasn't quite what I was planning on, but there's some gravel at the base of these cliffs, and since the riverbank seems to be very steep and not gravelly right here, I'm just going to walk over and see if I can find any rocks that I want to collect along the base of this cliff. It's a little steep and it's a little muddy, and I have no idea if there actually is anything or not. But since I'm here, I might as well look. Here's a kind of cool rock. Not an agate, just a quartz with red quartz inclusions, I guess. But it's so pretty, it's so smooth. It's got a great color. I'm gonna take it home with me. Some nice prickly pear cactus there for you. Don't step on those. Here's another one that's going to be really pretty to cut. It has, I'm guessing jasper. It's got a bunch of different colors in it, and some of it is lighter and some of it's darker. I found that when I cut these open, I call them near agates, because they're not agates, but they're close. Anyway, when I cut them open, in general, they're very, very beautiful. So even though this isn't a typical Montana agate where people would go hunting for it and get all excited, I still collect them and cut them, and I think they're very beautiful. When you're climbing around an area like this, you always got to be careful of rattlesnakes. Be aware. They might be out sunning themselves, trying to get warm. This time of year, when it's still frosty, they might be still asleep, but you still should be cautious. I actually vaccinated my dog for rattlesnake venom because we are out here so much, out in the hills, and it's a lot cheaper to vaccinate her than to have to go through all of the stuff afterwards if she happens to get hit. So far so good. We've been safe, but stay safe out there and be careful. Oh, hooray, we found an agate. Well, let's see if we can get down. This looks like it might be a decent place to think about it. Oh, it's so muddy. It rained and snowed just as much as a day ago. So this ground, while it looks dry, underneath it is very muddy. Well, I didn't film the descent because I realized as I was coming down that I really needed two hands. So believe me when I say it wasn't beautiful. A little farther up the road, closer to where we came in actually, and discovered that there's this little road that leads right down to the river, and I think I spotted some rocks down here. So fingers crossed, maybe we'll find something off. Crazy, there's a road all the way down to the river. I suppose if you were feeling really adventurous, you could actually drive all the way down here. I felt pretty adventurous just driving my Jeep along that last road that I was at. I think I wouldn't take it all the way down here. Anyway, this is more like it. Let's get to it. Here's another one I want to check. Take this one over to the water. Well, it's pretty. Has lots of colors in it, but it's not a moss agate that we're looking for. Goodbye. This is not your standard moss agate. However, it is an agate. It's got some red stuff in it rather than the black stuff, so we'll see what it looks like. One disadvantage, of course, to having a road that goes down to the river is it's very easy to get here for just about anyone, and so it's probably a pretty common hunting area. That's good for everyone because rock hunting is fun and everybody should do it, but what also happens is that it becomes much more difficult to find good stuff. And, you know, I like to find good stuff, so that's a little bit of a bummer, but there might still be some stuff here. We'll see. Here's a nice little piece of chalcedony. You know, up until about a month ago, I didn't know that's how it was pronounced. I always called it chalcedony because that's what it looks like when it's spelled. And I was kind of disappointed that it's not said that way. But there you go. Chalcedony, very common. Here's another little one. Sometimes they have this white coating on them. I'm not sure what the coating actually is, but if you see a rock with this kind of white, powdery looking stuff on it, it's probably an agate. And I don't just get agates. This is a beautiful little piece of jasper. Red and yellow. I love jasper. Jasper is actually the same material as an agate, it just has different minerals in it. So it's hard and shiny like agate is. I was just thinking that I hadn't found any petrified wood, which is unusual along this stretch. And here's a little tiny piece. The best time to do this is when the sun is low on the horizon. For some reason, that angle actually just illuminates the agates and makes them just burst into color or burst into light, I guess. And I have taken my dog for a walk recently on the gravel road by our house, and I keep finding agates over and over and over again. Here's a nice little jasper with some agate in it, some chalcedony in it, I guess. I bet it has lots of patterns. Pretty. Not sure if you can see this, but this flattened out spot here is where deer lie down to sleep. You'll find these all in long grasses all over the prairie, and it just means deer have been here. This is probably a deer path we're following. They shine like glass. I have no idea where we're going, but we're following a path, so it'll probably be okay. We're on what's kind of, it's not quite an island because it wasn't cut off at the other end, so I'd say it's maybe a peninsula. But on the left-hand side of us, there's actually some water, and on the right hand side of us there's some water, so we're just going right between. You see it up there? There it is. And you can't see the river on the other side, but it's there, trust me. Well, we've come to the end of the peninsula, and oh, look. When's the last time you were in grass over your head? I guess one thing to keep in mind as I whine around about the slim pickings, I'm so spoiled, is that it's the end of the year, and every year the agates or the rocks get churned up by the river, which rises from the snow. And so this whole gravel bar will get turned over. And so spring and early summer are definitely the best times to find really awesome agates. I found agates as big as my fist. I actually found one that was as big as 2 fists, but not recently and not here. So I guess I just should be grateful that I can be out in the beautifulness. Is that a word? Out in the beauty and enjoying myself, and stop whining around about not finding what I want. This is probably a near agate, but it's big enough. I'm going to dig it out and go wash it off. All right, we dug it out of the mud. I'm going to wash this baby off and see what it looks like. The reason I picked this up, let's see if you can see it, is because it has all these colors in it. It is certainly not a Montana agate in the sense that we're looking for most of the time. However, it's hard, it's colorful, and it's going home with me. Here's another sweet little agate right by the entrance. So obviously not everything's been picked over. This one was in the water, as you can probably see because it's all wet. It's little, but it's pretty. It'd be a great tumbling agate. And sometimes those agates just kind of hide looking like plain yucky rocks. I just washed this one off, and look at that. Just a little picture of some of the inhabitants of the riverbank, actually the river bottom, and it's probably no longer inhabited. All right. I actually just picked this up and I decided I would put it down and film it getting washed and so forth. Again, this is not what I would consider a Montana moss agate, but it has some fantastic colors in it. So let's see what it looks like when we wash it off. So my guess is, if I had to identify this, I would call it a jasp agate. It has silica and jasper mixed together, but that goes all the way through. It's going to be just beautiful. It's a cool little piece of petrified wood. And right next to it is probably a little nothing, but look at the shape of it. Isn't that cool? Well, that's it for this time. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Have an excellent day and keep on doing.